Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, so imagine a city that's 170 kilometers long, taller than any skyscraper in Europe, and it's all enclosed in this single mirrored structure, right in the middle of the desert. I know, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but this is a real project. It's called The Line. And today, we're going to break down the incredible ambition and, the controversy behind Saudi Arabia's city of the future. So to really wrap our heads around what we're talking about, we have to start with the numbers, because honestly, they are just staggering. First up, the length. The city is designed to be one continuous building that stretches for 170 kilometers. Just to put that into perspective for you, that's like drawing a straight line from central London almost all the way to Bristol. It's just immense. Then you've got the height. We're talking 500 meters tall. That is higher than any building anywhere in Europe. And it's even taller than iconic skyscrapers like the Hancock Tower in Chicago. And finally, the population it's supposed to house, 9 million people. That's about the entire population of the Chicago metropolitan area, all living inside this one single massive structure. Just let that sink in for a second. This quote from Rafael Prieto Carriel really nails it. It perfectly captures the ambition here, right? It's this dream of wiping the slate clean and just starting over. But it also raises a huge, obvious question. Why on earth would you even try to build something so audacious, so completely unprecedented, in the middle of the desert? Well, to answer that, we actually have to zoom way out and look at the massive economic shift that's happening in Saudi Arabia right now. For decades, pretty much forever, the Saudi economy has been all about one thing: oil. In fact, right up until 2014, oil made up a staggering 88% of all government revenue. But then 2014 happened. A massive drop in oil prices sent this huge shockwave through their economy. The price per barrel just tanked, falling from over $100 to less than 55 in about a year. It was a massive wake-up call that forced a really radical change in strategy. And that is the key to understanding the line. It isn't just some architect's wild fantasy. It is the absolute flagship project of this huge national transformation plan called Vision 2030, which was designed to answer that exact crisis. And the goals for this plan, they were beyond ambitious. We're not talking about small tweaks here. They set targets like increasing non-oil revenue by over 500%, massively growing their national investment fund. They're fundamentally trying to re-engineer their entire economy from the ground up. And you know what? It's already starting to work. You can see the shift happening. Since Vision 2030 kicked off, the average share of non-oil revenue has literally doubled, jumping from just 19% to 38%. Now, Saudi Arabia isn't the first oil-rich country to face this exact challenge. And to really get what's at stake here, it's worth looking at the very different paths taken by two other countries, Norway and Venezuela. They offer some pretty crucial lessons on what can go right and what can go catastrophically wrong. So you have these two countries, both swimming in oil money. But their stories and where they ended up could not be more different. One is a huge success story. The other, well, it's a cautionary tale of near-total economic collapse. So on one hand, you have Norway. They took their oil money and very successfully built this massive sovereign wealth fund in a super stable, diversified economy. Today, non-oil revenue in Norway is over 70% of the total. And then there's Venezuela. It's a completely different story. Mismanagement and a failure to diversify left them almost totally dependent on oil, which still makes up about 99% of their exports. Okay, so with all that economic background in mind, let's zoom back in on the line itself. Because for as futuristic as it looks, the core concept, the idea of a linear city, is surprisingly old. So what is a linear city anyway? Well, the basic idea has been kicking around for more than 100 years. It's just a long, stretched-out city that's built around some kind of central transportation line. In fact, the most famous attempt was way back in the late 19th century by a Spanish planner named Arturo Soria. And it didn't just struggle. It was a total bust. A commercial failure that eventually just kind of faded away and disappeared from the map of Madrid. And this quote really gets to the heart of the modern critique. Urban thinkers like Kevin Lynch argued that these kinds of cities are basically designed like assembly lines, not like actual places for people to live. It's like they're built for trains and transport efficiency first, and for people and communities second. Some thinkers today are taking it even a step further. They use this wild term, calling the line a hyperobject. Now, that's a word for things that are so huge, so spread out in time and space, like global warming or all the plastic in the ocean, that they're almost beyond our ability to fully comprehend. The idea is that this is a kind of post-human architecture, not really designed for us, but for some system that's bigger than ourselves. So, where does all this leave us? What do we got? Well, on one hand, we have this incredible sci-fi dream, but it's a dream that's being driven by a very urgent economic need. And it's based on an idea that, historically, has a really bad track record. The bottom line is this: the line is way more than just a city. It is the ultimate physical symbol of Saudi Arabia's massive, high-stakes gamble on its own future. It is, quite literally, a line in the sand, marking a break from an oil-soaked past. What you have here is both incredible ambition and just immense risk, all rolled into one. And that leaves us with the final question, right? Is this thing going to be a visionary blueprint for a new, sustainable way to live? Or is it going to become the world's most expensive cautionary tale? A multi-billion-dollar monument to a dream that was just too big to build? Honestly, only time will tell.